Hey guys, my name is Sam. As you know, I'm the founder of a fintech wrap up, and today I'm with Nick. Nick, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Good to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm Nick Botha. I'm the VP of Retail Banking and Payments at Autorek. For those of you that don't know, Autorek is a financial data management platform that works via the automation of a number of different processes, but mainly focused around data management, reconciliations, and additional business intelligence and reporting. So great to be here and look forward to the conversation today.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for the intro. By the way, I'm familiar with Autorek since I've been writing in the industry. And at one point, I reached out to you guys because I wanted to launch a company. By the way, I'm still working on it. I will not tell the name of the guys yet. And it is about particularly account transactions and reconciliations because personally, I see a lot of problems there, especially for the payment companies. We will go into crypto in a moment, but when it comes to traditional payment companies, they still have a lot of issues with this because they work with different partners, service providers, and collecting all transactional information and then reconciling. Aha, that's hell, and I want to go in that direction. So, can you please explain me what you guys have been working lately?
Yeah. So I think I think you hit the nail on the head there. In terms of some of the complexities around the middle and back office functions for payment companies, and we see it time and time again. Um, you know, I think the complexity is really in the data. I think we speak quite a lot about this, but the nature of payments is, uh, you know, to date, I would say is it's an extremely competitive market, and I think there's been a lot of focus on customer acquisition, focusing on new payment methods, new payment rails that have become available. Um, and, by adding all of this, the key driver here is, revenue generation. The revenue generation
Yeah.
comes from the amount of scale that these payments organizations are doing. The more payments you process, the more uh, products that you offer to your clients, essentially you generating your revenue from the fees of processing this data. However, what we see is that at some point, there becomes a diseconomy of scale in processing these transactions because
Yeah.
there's just too much volume, and the operational cost per transaction that you're processing, there's actually becomes a diseconomy of scale at some point. And at that
Right.
point is when we typically see clients come to solutions like Autorek because they're just needing
Okay.
help creating efficiencies and through the power of automation in
Right.
you know doing ETL against data. Like you rightly pointed out there, data is coming from all these disparate sources in unique formats, so many different processes, PM schemes. All that data is in, its own unique format, and to get the relevant transactional detail at a very granular view becomes very complex doing that very manually. And at some
Not only
point, you're
complex,
needing
but
some support.
costly.
Well, exactly that. Exactly that. And when we say costly, it's not just the cost of additional headcount,
Right.
in doing things like reconciliation, exception management, but it's also the
Right.
infrastructure impact, right? It's the infrastructure impact. It's the cost of processing these transactions. And I think that's really where we're seeing the benefits of platforms like ours, where we can
Right.
come in as a SaaS platform, provide the infrastructure support, which is hugely beneficial. Processing data in the same way that your products are being offered to your clients, and that's a very
Okay.
important point, Sam, because
Yeah.
what we're seeing is the whole payments world looking to move to real-time settlement, real-time processing, but their middle and back office systems, processes, and technology only allow for them to do things like, reconciliation, reporting on a T+1, T+2, even sometimes, on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
just doesn't mirror and match up to what the products that you're offering to your clients. And that's really where you need to go. You need to make sure that the foundation is set to be able to offer these clients. And actually, while this is maybe something that has been, something that's, maybe a CFO or a chief operation officer is looking at as a cost to the business, what we've actually found is that if you can get this
Right.
right and you can
Mm-hmm.
partner with the right companies and technologies, it actually
Okay.
allows you to become more competitive. So now it's
Right.
actually like we're at a point in the payments industry where if you can set up regulatory compliance, if you can set up, your middle and back office in terms of processing, reconciliation, reporting to mirror the products that you're offering to your clients,
Yeah,
you're actually creating trust and transparency to the underlying clients, which
correct.
allows you to be more competitive in the market. So it's actually a competitive edge, if you want to
I
look at
would
it
say
in, in,
yes.
in that in that frame.
No, I would definitely say this is a competitive advantage because, again, from my experience in the past, we had like the whole teams sitting and working only on reconciliation and collecting the right transactional information. And if something is not matching and another flow starts, so now you have to go back, find why that happened, who's the blame to, right? And especially when you add crypto to this flow, it becomes even more
Sure.
difficult, especially with the boom of stablecoins this year. Everyone is adding their stablecoin to their rails. So tell me, what are some of the difficulties companies are facing from your experience of working with these types of companies and solutions providers?
Yeah, again, I think it's a bit of an education piece because I think you don't realize it until you actually, get into that market. We don't see it as much in the UK and the European Union as yet, but there are some regions that are really starting to look at this. And I think we are seeing it a little bit more in the US and the Middle East and in some of the APAC regions where they're a little bit more advanced in their journey. And what we've seen there is the complexity for like a solution like Autorek is the the ability to first of all handle very large decimal place type values. So I think on
Okay.
stable coins you're looking between like 8 and 12 typically in terms of the decimal places,
Yeah,
and then some cryptos we're going into like the 18 to 20 decimal place range. And
correct.
TradFi and legacy platforms typically are only like traditional organizations where they're processing fiat currency, which is basically two decimal places. So they've been set up to be able to provide that level of granularity. But when you
Yeah.
start getting into the crypto market and the stablecoin markets, what we've done is we've actually just launched a new product called Autorek Neon, which is there to be
Okay.
able to facilitate very precise, granular crypto and stablecoin reconciliation. So you're getting a very
Mm-hmm.
specific granular view up to the nth decimal place, which
Okay.
provides you more precision in your reconciliation and reporting functions, which is not something that you
All
would
right.
get from sort of traditional. So that's one of the complexities. But I think the biggest complexity really is the on and off ramp of crypto and fiat currencies,
Yeah.
being on chain and off chain. There's a number of different infrastructure setups that we've seen, right? And different technologies that are supporting this, on chain and off chain. And that's really where the complexity comes because typically you're processing within your, crypto system, at a crypto level, but then you're settling in your bank accounts, which are more on the fiat side. So that on and
Correct.
off chain, being able to reconcile and provide a very granular view between, very nth decimal places and then traditional finance, TradFi and systems as well as fiat currencies. That is a
Right.
huge complexity because there's a discrepancy in the values that you'll see in
Mm-hmm.
those. So that's something that we've tried to, support some of our clients with. A lot of our clients in the payment space are venturing into the stablecoin and crypto processing area. And this is something that we're definitely looking to support our clients with because it is absolutely something that I see in the future. It's almost inevitable. Like everyone's talking about it. Regulators are getting involved. There's regulation coming
Yeah.
in to provide some transparency and security around
Correct.
this, which tells me that the technology is there. It moves us to more of like an instant settlement world, which is where the payment industry wants to go, and the
Sure.
demand from clients is like if I'm making payments and I want them settled, but I want to make sure that those funds are accurately captured and segregated and looked after. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I mentioned in there around the red tape and the technological difficulties of all of this. It's a hugely exciting time, but I think you just need to take a step back and say, is our foundation been set to be able to actually handle the complexity, and then on top of the complexity is the scaling, right? I mean,
Here's the
if you can settle things instantly, the volume is just going to spike and increase.
So from what you said, as I understand, then most probably, in my opinion, smaller players that are not that much ready, maybe to start implementing crypto, be it stablecoin or other types of crypto, and then correctly reconcile things, right? Because this requires a lot of resources. You cannot just simply take it and start doing it. And here's interesting point because I see a lot of infrastructure providers. So there are companies that are saying you don't need to do everything yourself. We just come in, we are infrastructure provider for stablecoins especially, and we have everything. So basically, do you guys work mostly with infrastructure providers, or let's say I'm a payment processor, I want to do everything myself, I don't want to go to any infra provider, should I go to you directly and get the solutions from you?
That's a good point. I think, well, like I said earlier, with Autorek, we typically sell our software as a SaaS solution.
Okay,
Naturally, our preferred, and we're a Microsoft partner, so naturally our infrastructure partner is Microsoft Azure. I will say that
right.
Azure has been very relevant in a lot of traditional financial companies, right? Lots of
Mm-hmm.
organizations in the banking sectors have been, you know, have leaned on the support of the likes of Microsoft,
Sure,
AWS, Google,
sure.
and I think it's just, it's a huge cost to these organizations when you start processing very, very high volumes of data.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the complex things. It's almost like the cost of doing business, if you want to look at it in that way. Um,
Sure.
and partnering with the right organizations that mirror your culture, the products that you're offering to your clients is hugely valuable. But when you're bringing in third party softwares like ours, I think that launching it in a self-hosted environment with your preferred infrastructure provider, it becomes very complex, becomes very costly. You're going to have technical resources, tons of technical resources overseeing all your
Right,
applications. And that's why
right.
we've seen a lot of clients lean on the SaaS model rather than, in-house, expertise to manage applications within a closed loop infrastructure.
But the problem with the SaaS model, personally, in my opinion, and based on past experience, let's say I'm working with like 5 partners or like five
Yeah.
service providers for different parts of the things. How do you help me to collect that transactional information? Should I collect it all myself and then let's say upload it to your software? Or do you go do integration for me and pull the information yourself and I just go and press a couple of buttons and see the end result? So how does it work?
So there's a couple of things here. I think security is obviously, information security is one of the
Yeah,
top priorities that we have, right? So any third party piece of software that you're using, like they need to be compliant with the regulations, right, around
exactly.
information security. SOC 1, SOC 2, ISO, you name it. And when we talk about payment companies, PCI compliance. When we're talking about crypto, there's like ISO, regulation coming in around crypto. So ensuring that the partners that you work with have all that accreditation is number one, right? You can't
Yeah,
onboard a piece of third party software that doesn't support that. That's number one. Number
correct.
two, when you talk about integration, again, this is another world where the payment sector has sort of leapfrogged maybe like TradFi organizations where there's so
Okay.
much technology available in terms of open banking APIs, different type of API functionality in terms of sharing
Yep.
information, moving to real time. There's still, when we speak about sharing data from APMs and banking partners, software.
Yep.
We still do see a lot of file transfer. Uh, you know, um, Between our software and the company that we work with, infrastructure. In which case, you need to make sure that you have uh, you know, SFTP or S3 bucketing type functionality. So what we do is,
Okay.
to create a seamless process for our clients, what we always look at is each source of data needs to have its
Mm-hmm.
own unique feed to create
Mm-hmm.
that seamless transition. So that,
Yeah.
if you're creating one central way of transferring data, it becomes a bottleneck to processing
Hmm.
data,
Hmm.
in real time. So you need to look at
Yeah,
all the sources of data, third parties, external feeds, and internal feeds, and create a seamless transition. And
correct.
that's something that we definitely spend a lot of attention in our products to make sure that we can allow for unique integration pieces between all different systems and third parties.
And I have to ask this question, and I think this will be my last question. Where's the AI in all of this flow? Are you guys using AI? Where is it? You have to explain me.
Yes, AI is absolutely one of the hottest topics in the entire industry. I mean, I was just
Yes.
scrolling LinkedIn, and every second or third post is around an acquisition of an AI business. It's around, how organizations, massive organizations, are using
Yeah.
AI, etc. So yeah, it's definitely something that's top priority for a technology company like ourselves. We've actually just
Yeah.
officially launched our AI product, essentially, which will be going out
Okay.
to our clients. Um, but I think what we've been, very mindful of is what do we do and what do we offer to our clients is very important. So we haven't just
Okay.
thrown any AI, over the top of our application because I spoke about information security. That's hugely important. The sensitivity of the data that we're processing for our clients, it's always a critical application. So we've
Sure.
kept that in mind, in our AI journey. And maybe it's taken slightly longer than we would have liked to get to where we are today.
Okay.
But we are there
Okay.
now, and we have a very robust, closed loop AI product that is gonna basically adopt the personas of the people that are using our application to be able
Okay.
to use the technology of AI, but not essentially replace the idea of financial control, right? That's very
Mm-hmm.
important. So we don't want to
Right.
replace the idea of financial control because what we do is financial control. So
Okay.
all it's going to do is optimize the way that our clients are going to be able to use our software to benefit them,
Okay.
to speed up processes, to help the investigation activity, to help their reporting, even help the ability to configure our software in a more streamlined, optimal way. So there's a number of
Sure.
different things that it would do there. I mean, we could probably spend about 3 days
Of
talking about
course.
all the unique
Of
things.
course.
But the idea here is that it's there to optimize and improve what you're doing today in Autorek and just take it to that next level. And essentially, that's really the
Got it.
focus for us.
Sure. Yeah. No, Nick, thank you for your time. It was pleasure speaking to you.